Hello friends and welcome to PSPSolutions.com with my business partner Tricon Technology Group. My name is Amit and in today's session I'm going to show you how to test Cashflow template. So there's a Cashflow business logic written in Calculation Manager. Today we see how to test it, how it works, and there is another session in which I talk about how to write business logic for Cashflow. So let's get started. Cash flow, as the name indicate, the movement of cash or cash outflow or inflow during your business activities, which in turn consist of three types: operating activities. So it often come from income statement items. So operating activities, your usual business operation, you cash receive or you pay cash. The second part of the cash flow is investing activities. So under this, the selling or purchasing of your assets comes under investing activities. Finally, you have financial activities. So the debt which you pay or the money you receive from debt comes under financial activities. So the first part of creating cash flow template is to design your account structure, account dimension structure. So this is a sample account dimension structure I prepared. As you see in this, it consists of three parts: operating activities, which I mention as the money which you receive, account receivable, or money which you pay, account payable. You see the change in account receivable store under, the change of account receivable total would be difference between the two consecutive periods of account receivable. So maybe the difference between February and January would be stored under account receivable. Similarly, the second node of your cash flow account is investing activities, where you have sale and purchase of different assets, and financial activities, where you pay or receive money from debt, long-term debt. So let's first see the structure, the outline structure. So when you log into your planning and budgeting cloud service, you can open the dimension structure from navigation pane. There you find the separate hierarchy created for cash flow, which in turn consists of cash flow total and three nodes under this: operational, investing, and financial activities. Under operational activities, you have different elements like account receivable, account payable, change in inventory, and investing activities, sell and purchase of your assets, and finally your financial activities, your long-term debt, increase or decrease in your long-term debt. So once calculation take place, the output stored under cash flow elements. For example, change in account payable, how it comes, let's see over here. Change in account payable is a result of account receivable, or change in account receivable is a difference of previous period minus current period. So you like to see the previous period. If you are calculating for the month of February, it would be account receivable for January minus February, right? In a similar fashion, we can calculate different members under current operations. Change in account receivable would be difference of two consecutive period. You can actually see this 1200 is part of your income statement. You can search over here. This is a name. I can search. So this is total account receivable. So between two consecutive period, the output store in change in account receivable. Similarly, the change in inventory would be the difference between two consecutive periods of inventory account. Change in prepaid, the difference between two consecutive periods of account, expense account, and so on for current operations. When you talk about investing activities, as I said, sell or purchase of your asset. So your fixed asset account of current period Previous period minus current period would be change in equipment purchase. Other asset differences between previous and current period would be stored under change in other assets. And finally, your financial activities, which is the money which you receive through debt or you pay to debt. So long-term debt. So difference between long-term debt account for previous period and current period would store under increase or decrease in your long-term debt. And you have change in other equity, which is in turn difference between two equities, two period equities. This is issuance of common stock, issuance of or repurchase of common stock of two consecutive period would be stored under 3100. This is a common stock account. So let's see how it works. So in order to test this calculation, I prepare one data form. We would open the data form, input some number and test the output. So you go to data form section. You can open it from your home page data section. Under plans, I created the data form testing called test cash flow plan. Click on this, and as you see in the PPT, the change in account receivable would be the difference between prior and current period. So when you see the numbers over here, change in account receivable should essentially be the difference between February period and January period. It could be for quarter as well. This 72365 would be difference between your January minus February. You can test it once again. You can put the value number, put 0 over here, and upon save, the business rule would be invoked and difference would be calculated in the month of February. The business rule invoked, and this is the output. To make sure the numbers are correct, we can use a smart way. As we did in our previous session, I created 3 Excel sheets. The first Excel sheet contains the output rendered by your business rule. Second Excel sheet, the calculation I return in Excel. For example, February change in account receivable would be difference between January minus February. It means I calculated in Excel and I like to compare the same numbers which calculated by your business rule. And the difference between both of them should be 0, which is called variance. So variance is the difference between the calculation done by business rule minus calculation done in Excel. Right? The same I did copy everywhere. You can test once again. So I turn it out to 0. And when you turn it out to 0, you can see the variance is over here. The variance. But once you input number and submit this number, the business rule will be invoked and the difference between both of them stored over here, which is same as the calculation done in Excel, and therefore variance is 0. So once you find all variances are 0, it means the calculation done by your calculation manager is logically correct. So once you tested this, in the second part of this presentation I talk about how to write calculation script or business rule to perform cash flow calculation. That's it for today. Should you have any question, please feel free to write to bspsolutions.com. Thank you.